Welcome, Battle Brothers. I am the Epic Narrator. This is part 2, The Emperor versus Horus, from the Horus Heresy. This is a reading from White Dwarf, number 161, written back in 1993. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest that you follow the link above. For everyone else, enjoy. Insane voices gibber madly inside his skull. There are figures trapped in the stone walls of this vast room. Hands reach out for him, grasp at him with rock-like strength. He shrugs them off easily. His comrades are not so lucky. Bolters chatter and flash as the Marines attempt to fight off their demonic assailants. A man screams as he is drawn into the dark and slimy walls. As he vanishes, ripples spread from around his point of disappearance. The Emperor's sword lashes out, severing limbs, freeing trapped Marines. He summons his psychic energies. A nimbus flickers around his head as he unleashes his power. A tidal wave of destruction rips through the demons, leaving his own men unscathed. He scans about him, seeking the primarchs, but the walls of the War Master's battle barge are resistant to his mind sight. He gestures for the surviving Marines to follow him. They wander through the ship, distorted beyond all recognition by the warping powers of chaos. Great sphincter doors descend from walls of flesh like stone. Transparent veins bear rivers of blood along conduits in the floor. Carpets of mucus cover a road of tongues. Winged and distorted things that might once have been human flit through the archways of bone and perch on ledges of rib. The Marines gasp in horror. He exerts himself to calm them, psychically soothing their fear of this dreadful place. All the while, he scans the area looking for the spore of Horus. He knows now the nature of the pact the War Master has made and the dreadful consequences of his victory. They pass pits that gape like glistening gullets in the floor and echo the beats of a distant giant's heart. They are showered by waterfalls of stinking yellowish liquid that cascades down a cliff of carved cartilage. Sometimes they hear weapon fire, but when they arrive at the source, they find nothing. Mists of rainbow vapour drift across the field of vision, obscuring corridors and the carnivorous stone. Clouds of insects swarm over their faceplates and choke their extractors of their air pipes. They switch over to internal oxygen supply. They are ambushed by scuttling, skull-faced things in the armour of the Marines. They fight hordes of mutated beasts. One by one, they die. In the end, the Emperor stands alone. Then, and only then, is he allowed to enter the presence of Horus. The War Master bestrides the body of a broken angel. Behind him, the tortured earth fills the viewport. A bauble for Horus to seize with one clawed hand. Corpses of massacred Marines lie everywhere. Face glowing with eternal bloodline, Horus speaks. Poor Sanguinius, I offer to give him a position of power in the new order, and he could have sat as the right hand of a god. Alas, he chose to align himself with the losing side. The Emperor stands transfixed, trying to force frozen words from his tongue. In the end, he can only whisper, "Why?" Mad laughter rings out. Why? Why? You ask me why? Have all of those millennia taught you nothing? Weak fool! Your timidity prevented you from binding the forces of chaos. You shied away from the ultimate power. I have bound it to my will, and I will lead humanity into a new age. I, Horus, master of chaos. The Emperor looked at his former friend and shakes his head. He sees the trap has ensnared Horus. No man can master chaos. He says quietly, "You have deluded yourself. You are the servant, not the master." A look of rage transfigures the War Master. He stretches out a hand and a bolt of force leaps forth. The Emperor screams as agony racks his body. "Feel the true nature of my power, then tell me I'm deluded," roars Horus in the voice of an angry god. Beads of sweat stand out on the Emperor's forehead. He steels himself against the pain. "You are deluded," he says. Once again, Horus gestures and lances a pure poison sear through the Emperor's veins.
"I let you come here, old friend, so that you could witness my triumph. Kneel before me, and I will spare you. Acknowledge your new master and the new master of mankind."
Desperately, the Emperor summons his powers and lashes out. Lightning flickers between the combatants. The stench of ozone fills the air. The Emperor leaps forward, sword raised. Weapons clash as the battle is joined on every level: physical, spiritual, psychic. Bolts of force flicker as mortal gods clash, balancing the fate of the galaxy on every blow. Rune Sword and Lightning Claw ring against each other with a sound like thunder. Energies potent enough to level planets are unleashed. A backhand buffet from Horus knocks the Emperor through a stone bulkhead. The counterstroke tears the supporting column out of the ceiling as the Warmaster ducks. In the warp, the Emperor hears the Chaos powers howl as they feed their pawn more power. The Lord of Humanity stands alone against their massed might and knows that he is losing. Somehow, he cannot bring his full force to bear on the Warmaster. Horus shows no such restraint. A lightning claw cuts through the Emperor's armour as if it were cloth, shearing through the flesh and bone. The Emperor riposts with a psychic stroke intended to disrupt the Warmaster's nervous system. Horus laughs as he deflects it. His claws take the Emperor across the throat, opening the windpipe and jugular. Another blow severs the tendons on his wrist, causing the sword to drop from his nerveless fingers. Insane laughter echoes around the chamber. Horus breaks several ribs with an almost playful punch. A surge of energy sears up in the Emperor's face, melting the flesh till it runs, bursting an eyeball, setting alight his hair. The Emperor stifles a whimper, wonders how can he be losing. Blackness threatens to engulf him. Horus grasps his wrist, splintering bones. Blood pumps from the Emperor's throat. Horus lifts up his foe, his head, and brings him down across his knee, breaking his spine. For a second, the Emperor knows only darkness. Then, a flare of agony brings him back to consciousness as Horus rips his arm from his socket. The Warmaster howls with a bestial triumph. Suddenly, the battling stops. Through his good eye, the Emperor sees a solitary Terminator has entered the room. The Marine charges towards the Warmaster, Stormbolter blazing. Horus looks at him and laughs. For a moment, he stands triumphant, allowing the Marine to see what he has done to his Emperor. The Emperor knows what is going to happen next, sees the gloating triumph on Horus's face. There is no trace of his friend left there. There is only a demon driven by insane, destructive fury. Horus turns his burning gaze on the Terminator and the Marine's flesh flakes away to reveal his skeleton. Then, even that is gone, reduced to dust. The Emperor sees the trap that has been set before him. He's been restraining himself, trying not to hurt the one who had been as a son to him. Now he sees there is no trace of his trusted comrade left. He knows that he must stop this semblance of his former friend and avenge the fallen Terminator. He must strike one deadly blow. He would get no other chance. He gathers every particle of his power, focuses it into a mighty bolt of pure force, more coherent than a laser, more destructive than an exploding sun. He aims it at Horus, a lance of power destined for the madman's heart. Horus sensing this upsurge of energy and turns to face the Emperor, a look of horror on his face. The Emperor lets fly. It strikes the Warmaster. Horus screams as destruction rains down upon him, twisting and writhing in titanic agony. He strives frantically to counter the Emperor's death blow, but his struggles become more feeble as the lethal energies play over him. Driven by all the force of his rage, pain and hatred, the Emperor wills Horus's death. He senses the forces of chaos retreat, disengaging themselves from their pawn. As they do so, sanity returns to the Warmaster. the Emperor sees realization of the atrocities he has committed flicker across Horus's face. Tears glisten there. Horus is free, but the Emperor knows he himself is dying and that the powers of chaos may once again possess the Warmaster, and he will not be there himself to stop them. He cannot take that risk. Horus must die. Yet, for a second, looking into his old friend's face, he hesitates, unable to do the deed. Then he thinks of the slaughter that still goes on outside, and may go on forever. Resolve hardens within him. He forces all mercy and compassion from his mind, empties it of all knowledge of friendship and camaraderie and love. His eyes lock with Horus, and he sees an understanding there. Then, with full, cold knowledge of what he is doing, the Emperor destroys the Warmaster. Rogel Dawn enters the chamber. Horror fills him as he sees the mutilated fawn of the Emperor and the shriveled husk inside the Warmaster's armour. He curses himself for taking so long to fight through the chaotic hordes. He knows now why their attacks ceased and why the ship is reverting to normal. He rushes to the Emperor's side, detecting a faint pulse of life. Perhaps there is yet hope. Perhaps the ruler of the Imperium may live. Rogel Dawn will do his best to ensure it. Thank you for listening, Battle Brothers. I've been the Epic Narrator. If you enjoyed this narration, there are plenty more on the channel. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and all of that YouTube jazz. And if you want to interact with me in real time, why not check me out on Twitch, where we do live painting streams. And until next time, Battle Brothers, may the Emperor protect you through Nurgle's blood.